Hey everyone, Steve here from My Crypto World. I trust you're having a great day. Well, we're entering the last day of the year. Today is December the 31st, at least it is in Australia, and we're preparing for New Year's Eve here in Australia. So I thought I'd finish off and wind up the year with some positive news regarding the cryptoverse and just go back and have a look at where things were 12 months ago with some coins that we've been promoting and talking about throughout our journey in 2021. All that and more straight after this. Okay, as we always do, we start with the market heat map just to see where things are at. So as you can see, we're pretty much green across the board. A couple of coins are down, BNB's down, Dogecoin's down, XTZ is down. But pretty much everything else, Hex is down 11%, which isn't good for Hex holders. But pretty much across the board, we're in green territory today. Not great green, it's just a light green, so it's no big major moves that are happening at the moment, but that's just where the market's at. When we jump over to our chart here and we have a look at the current cycle that's in play, pretty much we determined last time that the market cycle finished and started on this large red bar here, and to be honest with you, it really hasn't done much at all throughout the month of December. We've pretty much gone sideways, so I don't suspect or expect any major moves from the market certainly before the end of the year. But in saying that as well, I did want to leave you with some positive news for 2022. And I know a lot of people have been a little bit frustrated with the market. If we just squash this up here, you can sort of see where the price is right now, which is at 2.2 trillion. Remember, this is a whole market cap, not one individual coin at all, but the whole market cap is at 2.2 trillion. And if you were somebody who happened to get into the market way back here in April 2021, virtually you've seen some ups and some downs, some pretty good ups and downs actually, but your money has done nothing. It's virtually gone sideways for almost 9 months. And that can be frustrating when you're a trader. It can certainly be not as frustrating maybe when you're an investor, a long-term holder, but that's part and parcel of the game we play. This cycle is due to end on the 4th of January, I think it was. It is the 4th of January. So we would expect maybe a slight dip in the market between now and the 4th of January to signify the end of the cycle so the new one commences. Now, in saying all of that, that can be pretty frustrating news, especially if you've been holding onto your hat while this whole market has unfolded and you've become quite frustrated. I wanted to share a couple of stories with you, though, that might enable you to see things on the brighter side, certainly moving into 2022. So let's have a look at that. First one is MicroStrategy CEO foresees Bitcoin's price reaching $6 million. So at the moment, whereas Bitcoin, we are at 46,000, say 47,000 for even numbers, $47,000 US. It's a little bit higher if you're based in Australia. Let's go to Australian dollars. AUD we want. What are we here? We're at around about $65,000 Australian. But anyway, no, that's the wrong article. Here we go. MicroStrategy CEO foresees Bitcoin price reaching $6 million. So that's really positive if you're a holder of Bitcoin. And it just goes on to say that Michael Saylor is the CEO of MicroStrategy. He talks about how much he actually owns in Bitcoin. So he actually owns 17,732 Bitcoins, which is worth around about $858 million. So he clearly got into the market at the right time and has been holding ever since. He actually talks about in the article that he hasn't sold any of his Bitcoin at all. Saylor foresees a Bitcoin hitting $600,000 a coin and eventually $6 million. Now, I guess the frustrating thing about this article, and not so much frustrating, is everybody wants to know certainty. He certainly doesn't give anything away regarding timing of that. He just believes that with the way the market's going, the sentiment of the market and the value of Bitcoin, that it will increase in value quite dramatically. MicroStrategy itself described itself as the largest publicly traded corporate holder of Bitcoin in the world and the first public company to adopt Bitcoin as a primary treasury reserve asset. So his job is to acquire and hold Bitcoin long term. So that's really interesting. In November, Saylor, the CEO, said that Bitcoin was unstoppable and will emerge as a $100 trillion asset class. Now remember, at the moment, our market cap at the moment for the total market cap, not just Bitcoin, but everything at the moment, is only at 2.2 trillion. So he's talking about a $100 trillion asset. Now, $100 trillion sounds like a lot, and it bloody well is, but it's really nothing against the whole entire global economy. Once upon a time, he even goes on to say that he believes that Bitcoin will take over gold. I'm not too sure if that will work or not, or if that will happen. We'll certainly see as time goes on. So that's a bit of positive news from somebody who really understands the market all too well. If we go on to some other articles here, we talk about we've spoken about Willy Woo in previous articles. On-chain analyst Willy Woo says Bitcoin approaching off to the races phase. So he talks about how wonderful Bitcoin is, pretty much similar to this MicroStrategy article, but he says it's talking about the Bitcoin moving into a major breakout phase. Let's just go through this again. I don't like reading the whole things because they just take too long. Willy Woo says, I'd say we're not in the main run of a bull market. There is a main run phase where it's just going to go up. The momentum is strong. We are just coming out of a reaccumulation, and we've had this massive sell-off in May. The sideways reaccumulation happened, and then there was that first tentative climb out, and often there's another sort of accumulation, and then we're off to the races. So what he's talking about really is when it comes down to Bitcoin, let me bring the chart back up, is we saw this dramatic influx of Bitcoin in the past, over the last, say, 12 months. Then it dropped away from the market. A lot of people throughout this process, it's not that Bitcoin's really valued any less. The project's still solid. It's just people take their profits out, and sellers then control the direction of the market. You get people coming in at the bottom here and buying in more because they think it's a great buy. Why wouldn't you? When a couple of months ago it was $65,000 and now it's sort of tethering on $30,000. You're basically buying at a half price. Then it shot all the way back up to $70,000 or $69,000 US. And then it's come back down again. So what he's talking about, and what I spoke about in this chart just here, was that we were experiencing a sideways movement, which is often what happens when you get a distribution phase, an accumulation phase, or a consolidation phase. So pretty much just talking about that throughout this article. If we're looking over the next 6 months, structurally, it's pretty strong. What gives me confidence about that is there is really a lot of coins that have been moved to long-term holders who have held onto their coins for 5 months or more, so they're at maximum accumulation. So that's really, really interesting as well. Some good news to end the year off, I suppose. Finally, I've had some messages throughout the year regarding Cardano. I think I did a post about it a little while ago. It might have been on, I think I posted something on Twitter. I can't remember what platform it was on, sorry. And we spoke about, how the founder of Cardano, for me, Charles Hoskins, his name is, he's not in a rush to do anything, but he is in a rush to make sure he gets things right. So it's been a slow burn project. He even admits that, but he doesn't hide away from it, which is really interesting. He's not a CEO or a founder that says everything's green and grassy and we're going to be amazing. He certainly copped his criticism along the way. But what Charles has sort of done is just given a snapshot into what 2022 looks like. And I'm going to go through and have a look at some of the charts of the coins we're currently holding in our portfolio, that I've been doing in my portfolio, I should say. Remember, again, none of this is financial advice. It's just financial opinion. I'm simply sharing with you what I've done and how I've done it. And if you want to take that information and do your own research, that's probably a good way to start. So certainly he talks about he wants to create a DeFi structure. Cardano has a plan to roll out a proper DeFi structure that will allow deployment of various DeFi protocols on its blockchain. And this has been a long time coming. But I do believe that when Hoskins gets it right, it will be incredible. Charles envisages this kind of structure to be open source, which is positive, and likens it to the Linux Hyperledger. DeFi protocols powered by smart contracts have locked upwards of $260 million across multiple blockchains in the industry. So that's quite good there. In the case of Cardano, this new feature will be supported by the fact that the network became fully decentralized back in April 2021. In September, smart contracts were launched, giving the network a much-needed capability, to host DeFi applications. So what he's talking about there is that they're gearing up for major developments in 2022 and really pushing the envelope forward in what it's going to be able to do. And it really is going to fulfill a lot of the goals that Charles Hoskinson had originally set up for Cardano in the first place. As we all know, with IT issues, sometimes development takes twice as long and is twice as expensive as you originally thought. And Charles has certainly had some issues with some of the things he's wanted to do. But I do believe Charles is if anyone's interested in learning a bit more about Charles, just YouTube him or Google him, listen to some of his interviews. Very switched on, very passive bloke in his demeanour, and is always willing to sort of share whatever knowledge he's got with the rest of the community, which is fantastic if you're into research, which I obviously am. So that's some good news. Now, the other thing that came out, Blockworks on Twitter was on December the 26th, so what's that, 4 days ago, just tweeted this out. The price of the top 10 cryptos last Christmas. So last Christmas, so 12 months ago, Bitcoin was only at $23,000. It's currently, as we said earlier, Australian it is, around about the $65 mark. Ethereum was $633. We know now Ethereum sitting at around about the $4,000 mark. Binance Coin, I've never bought into Binance Coin. Not that I haven't believed in the project, I just haven't. I actually don't know what it's going for now. Let's go back to, and just compare, is it on our heat map here? BNB, $513. It's down a bit today. But $513 compared to $33 12 months ago. Solana, that has been an amazing coin. So $1.45 12 months ago. Solana now is $171. So you can see that even though we've had a sideways movement for most of the year, we're still in a better position than we were 12 months ago. Cardano, ADA, 12 months ago was 15 cents. I can't believe that. It's amazing what happens in a 12-month period. Cardano at the moment is $1.33. So you've still made incredible gains if you had gotten into the market back in December last year. Ripple was 31 cents. What is Ripple at the moment? Where are we? XRP, 82 cents. So probably not the best one on the market, best game. But you're still 4 times your money at least, five times your money. Polkadot was $5.21. Now I recommended Polkadot to this channel back when it was, I think it just hit $4. So 12 months ago it was $5.21. Polkadot at the moment, where are we? Dot is 26 bucks, $27. It's down a little bit. It's certainly not at its highest. It did used to be in the 50s, but it's getting back there. Avalanche $2.95. I won't go into all of them. Luna was 53 cents. Now Luna at the moment is about $120, I think, from memory, and Dogecoin at 0.004. So although the market has been a tough year for most of us, certainly those who have been in the market or brand new to the market for the last 12 months, I do encourage you to hold on. That's again not financial advice, it's my financial opinion. It's just simply what I do. The market will come back, and I bet you that by this time next year we'll be looking back and going, my goodness, wasn't the price of Solana at $120 or whatever it is cheap compared to what it might be by the time December 2022 kicks around. The other thing that's very interesting to me is, and why I think this market is poised for a massive expansion and growth in 2022, I feel like we're like a quarter behind. I actually felt that this market would be, and all the coins, if you followed my earlier videos, I gave some predictions back in early 2021 of where I thought the market would be and where the individual coins would be. Some of them reached those targets, some of them did not, but I feel like we're about a quarter behind. So what I think we should have been at in December, I'm kind of now thinking probably around about March or April, we should start to see those prices. That's just a gut feel and what I'm reading into the market. But to just give you some support regarding that, let's have a look at some of the coins that we've discussed in the portfolio over the last 12 months and why now is possibly a better time to buy because there's more stability in the market. A lot of the earlier things that I got into were probably a bit more speculative. Certainly Cardano, Holo, Link, all those sort of things were still good projects, but they were still a little bit more speculative. There's a lot more stability in them as a company now. They're getting a lot more wings under them with the projects that they're doing. So I think that I think things are set to sort of skyrocket. That's my view. If we have a look at a lot of these coins here, so we're looking at Cardano at the moment, and you can see here now, in the past we've spoken about support and resistance levels. Just go to the total market cap again, just so I can refresh your memories. What happens is stocks and coins usually will move up through support and resistance lines. Now, support and resistance lines are previous all-time highs or previous all-time lows, or sometimes in between. You never know when a support is going to be, there's going to be a support line until the market hits that support line and bounces from it. So we can see here back in around about January 2021, the market at the time hit an all-time high of 1.13 trillion. It then fell away from that, bounced straight back through it, went haywire and just went ballistic northwards, and then fell back towards the ground again, and again used that 1.13 trillion as a support line, bounced off it twice, and then shot up again. So a line can either be a support or a resistance line, and sometimes it's both. But when we go and have a look at Cardano, we can see just visually without drawing lines all over the screen and the chart. Sometimes drawing lines really can mess you up because it becomes, I've seen so many people when I used to coach people one-on-one that their charts were so full of indicators. I mean, Bollinger Bands, oscillators, stochastics, RSIs, moving averages. You could virtually not make out what the hell the chart was doing. So sometimes it's really good to take all that noise away and just have a look at the chart in its natural state. What you can see here, right now we're at $1.33, but you can see that Cardano is sitting pretty much along a very strong resistance line. So Cardano has in the past moved really nicely around the $1.30 mark. Anywhere from really $1.20, maybe $1.10 to $1.40, and it's sitting at $1.30 at the moment. So it's moved, it's broken away from that. It's fallen all the way back down, but it's found support around about this at around about this level, which to me shows incredible strength. So it doesn't appear to me that the stock is going to fall any lower. And if it's not going to fall any lower, it can only do two things. It can continue to go sideways for a while, which it may do, or it's going to use that and move upwards from that. Now, I spoke about during the year how Bitcoin Cash is more now has been adopted now by more merchants than Bitcoin, but it hasn't had the rally that I thought it would have. It certainly got up to $1,500 per Bitcoin Cash, and then fell away from that. But again, you can see that Bitcoin Cash is sitting really neatly along this line here, which is a very strong support line for Bitcoin Cash. It's at now $430 US, and you can see it's really, this whole entire area here has really moved nicely between probably around about $400 I would say and $500. There seems to be this nice band that sits there. Again, it's not saying that Bitcoin Cash is not going to go lower than that. It very well could. I would say the probability of that is lower, and that's sometimes what we're betting on more, the probability that it's going to find resistance, stay around that ground, and then move upwards from there, and that's what I think is going to happen. Let's have a look at Digibyte as well. I spoke about Digibyte, I think in the last video I did, where I said it was sitting really nicely along a support line. Again, nothing's changed. Over the last week, it's sort of found more resistance. It's come up, it's fallen back down, but again, it's fallen to that resistance line. It hasn't fallen or traded below that. Holo is another one of my good picks. I must have drawn a flag on here a little while ago, maybe earlier in the year. We had a breakout of that flag. It's come back down. Ignore spike. These are things that happen in the marketplace sometimes. These are what I call them spikes. Sometimes there'll be a spike downwards, sometimes there'll be a spike upward. Generally, it can be a mistake in the data on your chart, or somebody has actually put in the wrong trade. They've put too much zeros in for a sell or a buy order, and then the market just snaps it up. But it has to be reflected in the chart, so then it shows you that for that one trade, it might have been at 0.00002 cents, and when somebody might have wanted to put a trade in at maybe 0.02 cents. That happens from time to time. But getting back to where I'm going, I digress. you can see that it's sitting nicely above this support on this support line here. Now with Hollow, it could dip a bit lower. There is a support line right through here where its all-time high was back then, and where it bounced off here. But at the moment, it's sitting across this phase here. So again, looks ready to bounce upwards. IOTA, well, IOTA as well, if you have a look at IOTA here, it's really moved sideways since February this year. So it has had major ups and downs throughout that period. I mean, you're trading from 70 cents up to $2.70, or I should say $2.70 down to 70 cents, back up again to $2.30. But all in all, it's pretty much sideways where it was there. So again, it's traveling along a resistance line. It looks like it's forming quite a large flag pattern there. Chainlink, again, another one that's sitting right along a nice resistance line there. Looks beautiful. Looks again ready to explode and go upwards. Shiba Inu is doing the same, sitting across here. So back then, this was the all-time high for Shiba Inu, and that's where the price is currently, just sitting and resting on that position. Now Seoul, actually I haven't spoken about Seoul. I better do that. I'll come back to that in a moment. Theta, we spoke about that in the last one. Again, it's moved up from its resistance line from its previous all-time high. It's bounced along this section for a number of months and almost a year, you could say. But again, it hasn't fallen below it, so it's still trading nicely, and it's still probably, in my opinion, set to go. Same with Wax. So Wax is here, again trading right on its previous all-time high of, what was that? That was around about 45 cents, maybe something like that. Traded all the way up to 97 cents, has fallen back down, but is sitting nicely on that previous all-time high resistance level. So the purpose for going through all of that was just to let people know that the market is never fully over. And every time you read, doom and gloom stories on the market, do your research, because there'll always be somebody else telling a different story regarding whether it's the crypto market as a total, whether it's Bitcoin or a particular project you're interested in. There's always two sides of the coin. So you've got to read all articles that you can find out there. If you're interested in investing into a crypto, please do your research, but do a balanced research. Don't just read one paper and think that coin's crap, I'm not getting involved in that, because there may be a dozen other people who have a very different view. The coins that I've put into my portfolio, I've done an incredible amount of research on. I still feel very strongly that they're a safe bet, in my investment opinion, and they're going to move upwards in the near future. Okay, so looking now at Seoul coin, this is one that I mentioned to my private traders group about a week or two ago. Now, Seoul, or Phantasma chain as it's also known as, Phantasma, has been around for a little while, and it's taken me probably too long to look at this properly and to get a sense of what they're about. But I guess this article here sums it up for you. So this is why I'm now recommending, or I have bought, I should say, some Seoul coin, and I now hold that in my portfolio. Essentially, we're saying here, fewer logins, fewer tokens, less stress, ecosystem to support dApps from all blockchains. The article goes on to say that free products and services on the internet are hit with the public, but a new blockchain-based ecosystem believes that most consumers are unaware of the risks of using such companies for distributing their content. And the team behind Phantasma Chain says they were motivated to act after watching the world freely share their data and content on third-party platforms, even though they run the risk of losing full control over this valuable information. So this is one of the key issues with centralization. Even the content that YouTubers put up to YouTube, we actually don't own it. Once it's on YouTube, it's YouTube's. We still certainly have some governance over it. We can pull down videos, we might be able to delete videos, but essentially at the end of the day, if YouTube wanted to take that and use it for anything else, it's not just YouTube, by the way, it's just the way the platforms have been used in the past, all platforms for that matter, the content is theirs to distribute or take down themselves. Following the mantra that there is no such thing as a free lunch, the company argues that the public has been misled, and with many now mistakenly regarding themselves as customers when the data they provide in fact is being sold as a product. So Phantasma says its ambition is to return the power to content creators, enabling them to share their material to whoever whenever and however they want. So this is going to be a really big thing moving forward into the future, certainly when it comes to things like the metaverse. Again, so Phantasma, I would class that as a gaming token. That's where I'd place that. But do your own research. Have a look and see what you think of it as well. You can certainly go to Phantasma, I think it's .io. Phantasma.io, and have a look at their website and see what you think of that as a good project. For me, it makes sort of sense. They've got some good partnerships that they're already working with. That'll continue to grow. Again, have a look at some of the articles that have been written by not just from Seoul Chain themselves, but also other people. Go over to other websites like Cointelegraph. Just research it and see what your thoughts are. If it gels with you, then it's probably a good thing to get into. If it's not something that's for you, that's okay as well. There are plenty of other coins out in the marketplace. Well, that's a wrap for 2021. I hope you're having an amazing New Year's Eve. Stay safe, take care of each other and yourself, and we'll see you next year. Take care.